So at the weekend, Justin Gaethje goes out there, becomes the baddest mother effer in the UFC, technically. He's got the belt, he's got the title, but he hasn't got the UFC Lightweight Championship of the world, right? That is why when Conor McGregor called him out after the fight, because Conor always does that, and fair play, he's keeping himself relevant. He's supposed to come back and fight Michael Chandler, but he's throwing out there invitations to fight Justin Gaethje. Justin turned it down.
I think he's turned me down 6 times, so... And usually you have to lose to fight him, so I don't know what's going on.
He went on a tirade of abuse. He said, I don't fight people on steroids, blah, 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 blah. And I said, listen, I get it. He wants greatness. He wants to become the champion. And if he becomes the champion of the world, something he's never achieved, he was the interim champion. But if he can become the undisputed champ, there's many, many big fights for him out there, okay? But a lot changes in a few days because right now they're going back and forth. They're talking crap on Twitter. Conor McGregor has now got a potential fight on his hands because Justin Gaethje said, sign the contract, big boy, okay? And Conor McGregor responded, I knock him out. Guaranteed one shot. I guarantee it. Something like that anyway. And then there's a quote here from MMA Fighting. If I had to choose whether or not I wanted UFC gold around my waist or about $10 million, guess what? I'm going for the $10 million. And you can't blame him. We're prize fighters. That is what we're doing here. That is why we're in the game. Of course, we want to be legends, right? We want to be champions. We want to go down in the history books, but we also want to make as much money as possible. And we all know it. I don't even want to say it. Red panty night. Of course. Of course. The problem is, though, where's this fight going to go down? And isn't Conor McGregor supposed to be fighting Michael Chandler? I mean, I want to see that fight. Michael Chandler's must-see TV. You put McGregor against Chandler, it's going to be insane. It's going to be a phenomenal fight. Every time Chandler fights, it's wild. Every time McGregor fights, it's unmissable TV. You know, even though the form hasn't been great lately, he had those 2 losses to Dustin. He lost to Habib. There's no shame in those. They're top of the food chain guys. No shame whatsoever. But it's a long time ago, since 2016, when he was on top of 2 weight divisions in the UFC, which is an incredible accomplishment, okay? But the man still drives pay-per-views. He's still the biggest star. And him versus Justin Gaethje, if we just talk about that, stylistically, that is a mouth-watering fight. I mean, look at the way Justin fights, okay? The human highlight reel. Never, ever in a boring fight. I mean, that finish of Dustin Poirier, that was ridiculous. Nobody saw that coming. Fiziev before that, all right, it went to a decision, but what a beautiful display. And every time he fights, Justin Gaethje against Michael Chandler, utter madness, okay? And against Conor McGregor, it would be the same thing. It would be the exact same thing. Of course it would, because McGregor always brings it. He's not shy about going forward. He's not backwards in going forward. He goes forward. He likes to strike. He likes to box, okay? But he's not getting the results lately. I'm not saying he's got a bad chin. I'm not saying he can't perform. I'm just saying that he's not a 2-weight division champion anymore. Now, the real question is, I mean, if this fight was to go ahead, and listen, McGregor wants to be the BMF champ. He wants to be the lightweight champ. He wants to make history. He wants to talk shit on Twitter. He needs to step foot back inside the octagon. That's what he really needs to do. Seems like he's trying to do that. Now, of course, he's got the USADA testing pool. He's got to get through that obstacle first. 6 months in the USADA testing pool. He tweeted the other day, hello USADA. So one would assume that he's entering. And then I'm seeing reports online, unofficial sources, of course, websites and whatnot that know nothing of the situation, that apparently he's going to fight in December. Okay. Now that's not 6 months, but who knows? Maybe they can make a special allowance. I know nothing about that side of things. I haven't spoken to McGregor, his manager, or the UFC about it. But even still, it could go down in January. But that's a bit out of order on Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler said,
I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time.
Okay, and he has been a good time. So ever since he signed, knocking out Dan Hooker, the fights with Gaethje, I want to see him against Conor McGregor. I want to see Gaethje against Conor McGregor. I want to see all of them against McGregor, because McGregor, love him or hate him, he's still one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC today. But you can't deny the man certainly put a few pounds on. Now, granted, he broke his leg. Snapped the bottom of his leg when he fought Dustin Poirier last time. And, you know, given the kind of money that McGregor has generated throughout his career, not only for himself, but for the UFC, he did the right thing, in my opinion. He came out of the testing pool. You want to heal to your maximum. The problem is that when you take certain steroids, supplements, PEDs, whatever you want to call them, you do get a lasting effect. And I've always been very, very strongly against the use of performance-enhancing drugs in sport. I mean, let's be honest. This is a cliche thing to say. We're not trying to put a ball in a basket. We're trying to drive our fist through someone's face. We're trying to knock them out unconscious, just like Justin Gaethje did to Dustin Poirier. And I had the same thing happen to me. Right? Vitor Belfort head kicked me on steroids, on every juice under the sun. He had an ass like a dartboard. Okay, I mean, one of the most prolific cheats in UFC history. However, the ego of a fighter often gets the better of you. And I thought I could go down to Brazil and I could beat him and I would go on and fight for the championship. And as we know, I ended up losing an eye at the end of it all. Okay, but hey, listen, it is what it is. I'm a big boy. You take these chances. So initially, Saturday night, Justin Gaethje said, I don't fight people on steroids.
You know, I'm not going to fight someone on steroids. I've never taken steroids in my life, never will. Well, maybe when I retire I might, but I've never taken steroids, and I don't want to fight someone that is cheating. So, and I probably shouldn't even say that if I want to fight, but it's the truth.
And I understand that. And I don't blame him for having that stance. But now he's saying, listen, $10 million. Hey, you'll do a lot of things with $10 million. And Justin Gaethje, the form that he's on, I mean, listen, who knows what McGregor's going to look like when he comes back. It's been a long time now. It's been 2 years. He's got a broken leg.
My foot was a balloon.
He hasn't fought. He hasn't done a training camp. He's still been around the sport. He's still been training with the Ultimate Fighter. You know, not doing too good, losing a lot of fights, but he's still been around the sport. And one thing that will never go, that will never die, is the fighting spirit. And now 6 months, a lot can change. Right now, he looks big. He looks muscled. You know, you start doing a lot of cardio. You get off the special sauce. You start eating clean. You start working out. You're going to lose a lot of muscle mass. You're going to get back in shape. And who knows? It could be a phenomenal fight. But Michael Chandler, what's going on with Michael Chandler? Listen, God knows what's going to happen. UFC haven't said anything yet. I can't wait to hear how this does all play out. My guess would be that the fight is still going to go down. Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor, right? They've done a season of The Ultimate Fighter. It's the perfect hype to it all. Yeah, of course, Justin Gaethje is the man of the moment right now. And of course, Charles Oliveira is going to fight Islam Makhachev going down in Abu Dhabi. And one would think that Justin Gaethje would get the winner of that, okay? And who knows, maybe he gets the winner of that and becomes the champion and fights McGregor anyway. Maybe he fights the winner of that, loses, and the fight with McGregor is still there on the table. But you got to strike while the iron is hot. Fight sports, the landscape moves ridiculously fast. Right now, McGregor's there at the table for Justin Gaethje, right? One wrong move, that red panty night goes to someone else. I mean, right now it belongs to Michael Chandler, right? It could even be Dustin Poirier, let's be honest. I mean, Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor, one could make the argument, if your name was Conor McGregor, that they're one apiece because the third fight, he snapped his leg. Not how I see it. It's 2-1 Dustin Poirier. But Conor was talking crap about Dustin Poirier, saying he's done nothing in the UFC, doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, and he was knocking him about until he snapped his leg. It's not how I see it at all. So who's going to get the Conor McGregor sweepstakes? Is it going to be Michael Chandler? Will it be Justin Gaethje? Or will it be Dustin Poirier? Because you never know. That might be the one as well. They're all right there. It's all there for the taking. Anyway, I'm rambling on. I just saw that. Thought it's kind of interesting, isn't it? So there it is. Conor McGregor, clearly still one of the biggest names in the sport, still one of the most exciting fighters in the sport, and still one of the guys that we all want to see step foot back inside the octagon. But when's it going to be? We don't know. Anyway, there it is. Subscribe, ring the bell. I'll see you soon.